think anything is static or unchanging. Even our treehouse got repurposed as a wishing tree. Friendship, its ups and downs, is part of living Unitarian Universalism. Our resentments, our regrets, the conflicts we encounter, these are all, I think, in the scaffolding of church, of community. A church that is courageous, a church that matters, I think is also curious in conflict. We can think of conflict as simply a situation where we disagree with one another, an impasse, a misunderstanding. When we have a conflict with someone, first, it's usually a substantive disagreement about what we want, our goals, or what we need. Of course, our relationships are multi-layered, and our emotions are always involved in some way. Since when we disagree about something we want or need, it's likely we have some sense of discomfort or stress, fear. We may even remember past moments of these kinds of needs and desires or feelings and then feel them again. On occasion, when conflicts arise, we might believe that our relationships with the other person or party is threatened. I know that I have felt like my sense of self or the face that I want to show the world is challenged when I'm in conflict. This can be intensely uncomfortable. There's this model of conflict developed by Mitchell Hammer. You may have heard about some work related to this from Reverend Tara before on the intercultural development inventory, the IDI, and some of the work that your leadership has been doing around that cultural work. Mitchell Hammer's idea of conflict means that when we're challenged really deeply in a relationship, we go back to this sense of reaction or response that has worked for us for a long time. Maybe those tried and true patterns don't always get rid of enemies. Maybe they don't bake love into our enemy pie or make everything as easy as we'd like. But these ways of approaching disagreements that we have taken us pretty far. I personally started becoming interested in the issue of conflict when I served on the Unitarian Universalist Association's Commission on Appraisal, which studies and reports on issues important to our faith community. For much of the 8 years that I was on this commission, I worked on a project that looked at conflict in congregations, specifically about the role of authority and ministry. We wrote a book about it, actually. You can still get at the UUA bookstore, though maybe a little outdated at this point. And we were interested in how power and culture affect how we behave in conflict in religious community. And like any other church project that you're passionate about, it led us inward to get curious about our own cultural understandings about conflict and helped us to gain interest in Mitchell Hammer's model. We took a quiz, and this quiz showed us how we handle conflict. In this, I learned that I fit into the engagement style of conflict, which is verbally direct and emotionally expressive. All my fellow commissioners fit into a different style than me. They were verbally direct, but they were more emotionally restrained or controlled than I was. While our cultures were similar in some ways, the culture of my own family of origin that operated in non-direct ways and used silence to suppress emotion during conflict, that spurred my own pattern to reject that entirely. So I became more direct and expressive as I grew into an independent adult. We all have a story to explore about how we handle conflict. Maybe you have a memory in mind about your own community or family of origin. Yes, you're allowed more than one. How did you resolve a conflict in your family or community when you disagreed? Were things loud or soft? a discussion, or a yelling match? Did you need to take space to be alone? Was there always a relative that would turn their attention to a story or proverb to share their perspective? Are there other influences in your life that have helped you to share emotion with others or just deal with disagreements when they happen? Learning about the conflict styles in that work on the commission helped me to understand my own role in disagreements and how I was perceived by others who had different approaches. When I didn't get the emotional tone of whoever I was talking with, or when I thought they were hiding something from me because they weren't just showing me with their face, sometimes they would think I was mad when really I was just really excited about something. I couldn't get why they wanted to focus on facts when I wanted to focus at what was in their heart all the time. Staying curious around conflict with one another on the commission allowed us to work better together as a team. I think this translates to other contexts as well. Even as we love each other, we might not always like each other, and even as we may share the goal of world community, we experience divisions and clashes and hurt and clamoring. When we come to church or the dinner table for dessert, we might mirror how we fought with the kid across the street growing up, or the ways in which we are drawn into political debate on Facebook, or even with the determination that we fight for the lives of our kin or our own life. Curiosity and conflict doesn't mean backing down from the movements we're a part of or the causes that give us great strength and anger and joy and community. It doesn't mean that we will always concede or find forgiveness. We can still move towards trouble, injustice, and build hope for our own souls. Theologian Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker reminds us that there is a divine force that is going to divide us. Let me start that one over. Rebecca Parker writes that there is no divine force that is going to divide us from one another. That's on us. I think that curiosity in conflict can rouse our solidarity. I don't want to say it's easy, and yeah, I'm going to say it again as pie, to face our own cultural patterns or the ways we differ from others, including those we want to believe are like us or hold the same principles. Realizing my own conflict style was so different from the colleagues that I was working with was not simply an exercise. It was a struggle. It put me face to face with how and why I had difficulty in certain situations. I grieved the loss of close relationships that ended due to my inability to understand. And sometimes these hurt emotions even unraveled connection. But I believe that curiosity that brings us solidarity can teach us to be more like Derek and Jeremy. We can teach each other to do flips on a trampoline, the ways to get a boomerang to return to us, or how to be a friend. And even if we maintain our own dominant style of how we do things, just by recognizing what's going on and opening ourselves to curiosity, we can find out what it's like to be the other kid in a shared space called church. I'd love for us to learn a way to dance together, to continue to let it be a dance. And so I invite you to sing our closing hymn, number 311, Let It Be a Dance.